I have a slightly different kind of ASMR video today. Someone asked me if I could do a haul video, and I'm not really someone who does a lot of shopping. I've never really enjoyed shopping that much, so I don't go shopping for the sake of shopping. I'm not really into mass consumerism, so my shopping habits are somewhat minimalist in style. I really only shop for what I need when I need it, and since I make all my own decor and most of my clothes are made by me or hand-me-downs, a lot of my furniture is second-hand or hand-me-down. Obviously, I make my own costumes and props. So basically, the main things that I go shopping for are groceries and crafting supplies. So I thought I would do something a little different that involves showing everything that's in my junk box. So this is my junk box. It says odds and ends there on the front. And this is the little box. I only have one here, but I actually have two of them. This is the box that I often reference in my cosplay and craft videos, where I literally just store a bunch of junk that later comes in handy for costumes and crafts. So thought I'd go through that and tell you what I have in my junk box. So let's see. The first thing, okay, so this is the top of a flare. On Labor Day, the lake does the Ring of Fire, and people light these little flares all the way around the lake. Most people are switching to the LED flares because you can use them year after year, but there are still a few people doing the burning flares, and this is one of the tops from those which I saved. I've actually saved a few of these over the years. They do come in handy for things like lightsabers. I think was the last thing I used one of these on. They're just kind of an interesting shape, and I'll save anything that has kind of an interesting shape because they often come in handy later on. So. This little thing, I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with it yet. This was a spool from some electrical cable that I used to rewire my solar panels. The cable that came with the panels was very thin wire, so I wanted a larger gauge to allow more of the electric to flow to my batteries. So I got some wire, and it came in these handy little plastic spools. So after I was done rewiring the solar panels, I saved the spools. And I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do with it, but that's the way most of the stuff in my junk box is. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, and then I'll be in the middle of a costume and realize that I need something of a certain shape, and go through my junk box, and I can usually find exactly what I need in this box. So saving this because I'm sure it will come in handy later on. This was a little piece of mesh. It's kind of like a squishy rubbery mesh. I'm trying to think what this came off of. I think this was off of like, I think it might have been like a screen cleaning kit for a phone or a computer, something like that. Not entirely sure. Some of this stuff does sit for a few years in my junk box before I use it, but it's always handy to have it there when I need it. Oh, actually, you know what this was? I do remember. This was a piece of padding that came in between something. Might have been my phone, actually. When I got my phone, I think that this was the piece of padding that they had in the container, and I kept it because it's a nice piece of squishy netting that I will definitely use for something. So that'll be good trim on a costume or a lightsaber hilt in the future, I'm sure. When I need it, it'll be there in my box to go get. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Oh, this is my old flip phone. I had this up until a few years ago because I don't really use the phone that much for internet stuff. I'm really more of a computer person just because I'm always cutting videos and stuff, so I'm doing most of my stuff on the computer anyway, so it was a while before I got a smartphone just because I don't really use them, but I eventually did get a smartphone just because it's 1,000 times easier to text on. So that was why I got a smartphone. But this was my old flip phone that took about a half hour to send a 3-word text. So, but I saved this because it's fairly sturdy, opening plastic thing, which could be great for a sci-fi communicator or something along those lines. I'm sure at some point I'm going to be making something where I'm going to be needing something like this as a base, and I'll have it in my junk box ready to go. So I have a variety of bottle caps. I save tons and tons of bottle caps because if you've watched any of my prop tutorials, you know that bottle caps are something that I use all the time. So there's milk jug tops and Tylenol tops and herb tops and all kinds of tops in here. Don't think I have one in here now, but I also saved the really small homeopathic tops on those little blue bottles because those come in handy. They're pretty small and can be used in places that some of the other more common tops can't. So if you make props at all, I do recommend having a healthy supply of bottle caps in your collection. Just save bottle caps from anything that you have a bottle from. Let's see. Oh, this was, it's clear. I don't know if you can see it. Kind of, maybe. This was the container that a memory card for my camera came in. And the reason I saved it is that it's a piece of plastic with, that little ridge in it for where the memory card was positioned. So I don't really know what I'm going to use it for yet. But I could definitely see it being part of a control panel on some kind of sci-fi prop, because it looks kind of like a button. Once I had it painted or something, it could easily be a button, so that's probably something that it'll end up being used for. This is the gold cap off of a can of spray paint. And I save this because it's a nice shape, which I'm sure could come in handy for something, and it's already got that brilliant gold color, which a lot of props have a lot of gold and silver, the metallic-y colors on them, so I think this is something that will definitely come in handy on a prop in the future. I did tell you that I save everything, so let's see, what do we have? Oh, let's see, there's a few more strange little tops here. Let me just grab a few of these, because these are like some of the really cool tops that I have in here. So this one is the top of a container of toothpaste. And I like this one because it's kind of tall, and then it widens out at the bottom, and it's got the little ridges all the way around it. So that comes in handy. I've used several of these on lightsabers, if I recall. Always come in handy as little knobs and dials on things like that. This super tiny one here is the top off of a thing of glue. And so it's got the really thin, tall part, and then it's got ridges on the little band around the bottom. So again, very unique kind of top. Almost positive I used one of these on my Pip-Boy. At least part of it. I don't know if I used the whole thing. I may have cut it in half, but I've used these on lightsabers and definitely used one of these on my Pip-Boy. So again, they come in handy for sci-fi props all the time. This one, kind of the same shape but larger. This is off of a puffy paint bottle. And again, it's got, you know, the thin part at the top and then the ridges on the band around the bottom. The band around the bottom on this one is, of course, a little bit larger than the bands on some of the other ones. So can just go different places that the smaller one can't. And then this one is one of my favorite ones. I'm actually looking really forward to when I get to use this one. This is a little wooden bottle top off of, I can't remember exactly what it is. It's some kind of like hot sauce that my dad uses. And he was using it one night and I just saw this cool little roundish wooden top. And I told him to save it for me when the bottle of sauce was gone. So yeah, this one is going to be a fun one to use, given its very unique shape and its wood. I think it's going to come in handy at the perfect time at some point. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Oh, I also have some much larger tops. This one is off of a, let me see, this one came from a jar of protein powder. So it's a nice big top. Not really sure what I'm going to use it for yet, but again, never hurts to save it because then it'll be there when and if I need it. Just save anything that could remotely be useful at some point in the future. This one is a razor blade container, and it's got kind of a cool shape. It's plastic, so it's very sturdy plastic, and it's got the little slots in it where the razor blades were. So it's just kind of a very interesting little piece of plastic that I think can definitely come in handy as some kind of a base for a prop at some point. Thinking probably something Star Wars-y. It just kind of has that look to it, so that's why I saved that one. Let's see. I believe that this was, I think it was like a foot cover on an old piece of furniture or something. This one has been in there for a few years. I haven't used it yet, but I saved this one because it has straight sides and then they taper up to the top, which can be hard to do if you have to make that yourself with cardboard or craft foam. So if I can have that shape pre-made, I know it will come in handy at some point. Definitely can be used for a lightsaber. So when I need one of these for a lightsaber, it'll be there. Or it might come in handy for something else before I need it on a lightsaber, but definitely a very good shape to have, so that's why I saved that one. Let's see. Spools tend to come in handy. This is a spool from some wreath wire. This is a spool from some thread. And again, they've all got interesting shapes. This is a very heavy-duty piece of plastic on this one, so that'll definitely be for some kind of prop. And this one, the thread spool, will almost definitely be for a lightsaber because it's got the middle and then the top of it flares out a little bit, so that's a very common design in lightsabers, so I definitely see this being part of a lightsaber in the future, the old thread spools. This is an old floss container, and I saved it because it has kind of an interesting shape to it. You know, the sides are straight, and then they taper downwards, so it's an interesting little shape. The fact that, you know, the top opens may come in handy, or it may not. I may just use it closed. I don't know yet. It just depends on what prop this ends up on, but, you know, that's a very, very interesting shape, so that will definitely be handy for a prop that requires some interesting shapes at some point in the future. Now, this is an old computer mouse that no longer works, and I saved this for two reasons. One, the cord is super handy. Anytime I need something to look like wires, I just take a cord, and I can usually strip some of the cord and get the copper inside to show if I need that. Like, you know, like if you need something to look damaged or something like that, or if you just need wires, this can be painted red and blue to look like the inner workings of something. I think it was a mouse cord that I used on the Kylo Ren lightsaber, and I just cut pieces of it and painted them red and blue and stuck them in there to look like the inner workings of the lightsaber. And then the mouse, just because it is an interesting shape, I don't know what it will be a base for, but I'm sure that at some point it will be a base for some kind of sci-fi prop. Some of the weird shapes are the best ones, like who would have thought that a Mio bottle and a deodorant bottle would make a good Fallout blaster, but they did. They were perfect shapes. So again, I don't always know what I'm going to be making out of these when I save them. I just save things with interesting shapes, and then sooner or later I'm making a prop and looking at it and realizing I need a specific shape. And when I just run into my junk box, I can usually find exactly what I need in there. So that's why I saved the computer mouse that doesn't work anymore. These are I have a few of these old dry erase markers. I use a lot of dry erase markers because I don't like having papers all over the house. It's just really easy to write down my notes on the dry erase board and then erase them at the end of the day. So that's why I use these. Just really handy. But both the entire marker and just the tops come in handy. Entire marker is good for if you need something kind of long and thin. And the tops, I've used these before. I think I used a couple of these on the Atom Project lightsaber. It's the first one that comes to mind. So they're just very handy shapes, and I've used them a few times. So always save my expired markers. Let's see, what else do I have here? These things, I actually don't remember what these were. They were probably like something that food came on because they're cardboard and they're shiny, so I don't know, there might have been cake or cookies or something, or maybe a relative gave them to me from something that they had. I don't remember, but they're pretty cool because they're cardboard. They're pretty heavy-duty cardboard, and they do have that lovely silver sheen to them, so they're definitely going to come in handy for something. Now, this was a piece of an old candle holder that broke at one point, and this is metal, and it's gold in color, so I definitely see this on the end of a lightsaber. It's even got the inner part where the candle goes that looks similar to a lightsaber emitter, so I think at some point in the future this would be kind of handy as a lightsaber, and I might actually save this to use as a lightsaber if I ever decide to make like my own custom lightsaber. for my own Jedi costume. It's kind of an idea that I've always wanted to make my own custom lightsaber instead of using somebody else's lightsaber, you know. Make one of my own design would be fun. So I think if I do that at some point, I might use this on that. And let's see. And now these, I have some rechargeable D batteries that I use to power my radio. And for some strange reason, they came in these weird little containers. That seems like a waste of plastic, honestly, but seeing as they came in these and I didn't know they were going to, I saved the plastic. They have kind of a really interesting shape with the rounded corners. You don't see that a lot, so I definitely saved this because I'm quite confident this will come in handy in the future. I also have, this is some fence wire. Living on a farm, I have a lot of fence wire, and when you're stringing fence wire, sometimes you get to the end of a pole and you cut off the excess and it's just a really small piece. You can of course splice fence wire pieces. I do that all the time because the metal conducts the wire, but when you get a bunch of short pieces, sometimes I just save them for crafty projects rather than splicing a bunch of 1 or 2 foot pieces together. So some of them end up in my junk box, like this little piece. And fence wire is really a great gauge of wire. I have no idea what gauge it actually is. It's just fence wire gauge, but it's a nice flexible wire. I'm sure it says on the package what gauge it is, but I don't generally bother looking when I'm out stringing fence wire. So, but yeah, it's a nice thick flexible wire that comes in handy for a variety of projects. And if you're into the metal jewelry and the shapes like that, it would probably come in handy for that too. I use it mostly for different craft projects and costume props, but it's definitely a handy gauge wire. This is the box for my carbon monoxide detector, and if you have a wood stove, you always want a carbon monoxide detector because safety first. But it was kind of a nice little box. I like the shape of it, and the way that the top comes down with the flaps. It's just kind of a nice square little box that I think is definitely going to come in handy. And not sure what yet, but it's fairly sturdy cardboard, which is another reason why I saved it. And it can easily be painted over. Even being glossy, it's something I can definitely easily paint over. I used a box similar to this for Darth Vader's chest box and Luke's chest box, so I can definitely see this coming handy in the future for something like that. This one's a little smaller than those were, but again, I definitely think that this will come in handy as a future prop, so that's why I saved this. Again, I save anything that could possibly come in handy. And then finally, I have a collection of scrap magnets in my little junk box. A lot of companies give you magnets with anything, whether it's a refrigerator or this one came from, one of those big reusable water bottles. This one came with that, and they're usually used to advertise the company, and they're usually fairly thin and flexible, so they're great for sticking small props together, small pieces together on props that you want to be removable afterwards. So I have quite a collection of these in my little junk box, and I save them, and then whenever I need something to magnetize to another piece to be easily removable. I head for the junk box and I just cut the magnets in whatever shape I need them to be. That's also the nice thing, is that these are very easy to cut, being so thin, and often they're larger. This one I've already cut several times. It used to be larger, but they do come in fairly large sizes to advertise themselves usually, so they're great for cutting up magnetic business cards. They really work well, anything like that, so that's what I have in there. I have a bunch of those. And I think, yeah, that is just about it. I have a bunch of repeats of everything that I've shown you in the junk box here, so I won't go through those again, but yeah, so this is my my kind of opposite of a haul video, since I do more saving of things than buying things. So this is my opposite haul video. This was box number 1. As I said, I do have an entire other box full of other random little bits and pieces of junk. If you guys would like to see what's in my second box, let me know. Otherwise, I will just stick to the regularly scheduled role plays, and you'll eventually see what's in my junk box in my craft and cosplay tutorials anyway. So I will see you guys next week with a new ASMR role play. See you later.